Yabuseo, my name is Pam, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a mug out of clay. I have somewhat good experience in clay. I took a college class, so I thought that would give me enough authority to show you guys how to make a mug. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but I thought this would be a good exercise because it gives you the three main techniques of hand building, and it just gives you a result that is practical. So yeah, first thing I have is a slab of clay, very basic. You could use a clay roller, which you pull it through, or like you turn. It's usually a giant wheel, and you have to turn it, and it results in a clay sheet that's all the same thickness. If you don't have that, you could very well just use a rolling pin. Make sure to cover it with like plastic wrap, because if it's like a wood pin, then it's gonna stick, and you don't want that. The next technique is called pinching, where you take a circle of clay and you start digging into the middle of the circle, and you pinch your fingers together. You have one, like your thumb on the outside and then your finger on the inside of the cup that you're forming, and you just keep pinching downwards. Like if you have your hole of the that you made towards like your table, you pinch from the center of your ball out into the outer edges and just keep flattening it out and rotating your fingers all the way around until you get like this even bowl shape. If it ends up becoming too big, I know I do that all the time where I make it and it's just like super wide. All you do is cut like a small triangle out of one of the sides and then pinch that back together. It's nice because it's very easy to make the bottom of your cup. The last technique is called a coil, where it's basically like you did in kindergarten, where you roll out a tiny snake of clay. It can be used for several different things, but what I typically use it for is for bringing two pieces together. Damn, you can make like a whole sculpture using just coils, but it just takes an eternity. So I use coils just as like a bonding agent to help like bring two or more pieces together. You're typically supposed to use slip, because slip is like a very goopy clay mixture, and that is kind of like a better glue, but like you have to have a clay sifter. It's like really fine and it takes forever to scrape, so I just end up using a coil and it's the same results, so what does it matter? So once you have the slab that you want at the height that you want, you go around your bowl shape. I like my cups girthy because I like drinking a lot of tea all at once, and I'm not being a little pussy with one of those espresso cups. I know that cup's only for espresso, but like, come on, who really drinks out of that? Now that I've finally figured out like the correct measurement, it's not like math, it's just like eyeballing it and seeing like, yeah, that's a shape that looks reasonable. Once you have that, I do a coil on the outside and then I smooth it. Most of your working time is smoothing out stuff. Making a shape, like pinching something, that took me like 3 minutes. And making that slab took like 5 minutes. But smoothing it out and making it like one seamless piece on the inside and the outside and making sure there's no cracks or holes or anything, that's the part that takes a really long time. But something that's really beneficial are tools like the ones I'm using. Also, making sure you use water, exactly like a bar of soap, where if you put too much water on it, it's just going to be bouncy, slip and sliding all over the bottom of your sink, and you're just never going to be able to pick it up and wash your hands. But if you only use a little bit of water and set it up real good, it works much better, and you are able to get those smoother lines that you want. It just works out better. Just take my advice, please. We're settling down. We got a nice, smooth body. But what this mug needs is a spicy, good handle. And a handle can be any shape. You see those C shapes? Like, okay, it's good. It's, like, easy to make for the Chinese factories. But no, we're making this special, guys. But there are a couple rules, or maybe not rules. Rules is a harsh word. More like suggestions for handle making. First off, you don't want to make it too thin. Make it too thin and it's just going to snap on you. Suggestion number 2. When you're making a clay mug, never lift it by the handle, ever. It's going to be brittle, it's going to be very easily broken, so even if it's Bisqueware, after it's been through the kiln once, still don't do it. It's going to be the glaze that's going to hold it together and make it sturdy. The other thing is making sure that's really, really well connected to your mug. If it's not well connected to your mug, it's as simple as that. It's not going to stay there. It's going to be like, no, we are not friends. We hate each other, and they're just going to go their separate ways. So you want to make sure that they're nice and welded together with smoothing, blending, and using tiny coils to try and add some girth to those connection points to really make sure that they're married and they're staying together. Once your mug is once you're done assembling your mug, it's really important to dry it in a specific way. Clay, especially water-based clay, shrinks to about 10% and a little more, depending on what clay you're using. Different clay thicknesses dry at different times, and the thickness of your mug is most likely going to be a far different thickness than your handle. Your handle is going to be thinner, it's going to be more exposed to air, and it has more likability of cracking and falling off and getting a divorce. We don't want a divorce. But in order to sustain this relationship, what you're going to want to do is cover the handle in plastic. You don't want to airtight seal plastic on it. You just want to cover it up so that there's less airflow around the handle. And you want to keep the mug body as exposed as you can. If you can't do that, if your clay body is really soft and you don't want it to crush by laying it sideways, it's not in that leather hard state, you want to let it dry in that one spot, and then once it's harder, then rotate it and let it dry in the spot that was previously on the ground. Something that I want you to take away from this is that these aren't going to be perfect. They are formed out of dirt and your hard work and love, and just let it be the shape that it wants to. Don't fight it so much, because then it's just not going to work. Your clay is going to dry out, and then you're going to be frustrated at the end. I think it's better to work with what you have and make a shape that you're happy enough with, so that you come up on top with a finished product that you can say, guys, look at this. I made a mug. It's incredible. And get this, you can drink out of it. So yeah, I hope you learned something. If you didn't, then maybe you could teach me something and say something in the comments below. Who knows? The world is our oysters, and we can learn from anything. So that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.